Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel, and in this video we are going to cover JSON output parser and structured output parser. So without any delay, let's start. JSON output parser is a parser which converts the output into a Python dictionary, and it requires valid JSON. JSON output parser only validates whether the JSON is syntactically correct or not, and it does not validate types, required fields, schema correctness, nested object rules. So the difference between a JSON output parser and a pedantic output parser is this, that JSON output parser only validates that the output that is coming out of LLM is a valid JSON or not. For example, it has all the commas in the correct place and double quoted strings and everything. Even if the type is wrong, for example, let's take the previous example, like this one. Let's say instead of risk level, something else came up, like very high or somewhat medium, low, any other value which is not which we are not allowing in our class. If something else came but still it's a valid JSON, then JSON output parser will parse that successfully. It will not throw an error. So the difference between a pedantic output parser and JSON output parser is that pedantic parser does the type checking for you as well. It makes sure that the value that is being written is of the same type that you are expecting, and it also a valid JSON as well. But JSON output parser just checks the validity of a JSON that is coming from the LLM. Even if some fields are missing or some fields are extra in the output, it will not care. It will just parse it successfully, and it will only fail when there is some error in the JSON itself. Initialization of the uses is somewhat similar as pedantic output parser. You initialize the parser like this, then you pass the instructions written by JSON output parser in your prompt. So let's see what instructions it's adding to our prompt. So if you will see the output of this particular block, you can see it's returning a simple string to your prompt. As you have seen in the pedantic output parser, it was returning so many things. It was returning the whole schema, right? It was adding the whole schema that it is expected the LLM to return, right? But JSON output parser, it's returning a simple string to your prompt that return a JSON object. So LLM, if follows this instruction, it will return a JSON object to you. Otherwise, if it misses it, then this parser will fail. So now, if you see, my prompt is giving details about the programming language, and in my chain, I'm just invoking it without any input. I'm not accepting an input. So I think it's taking the language by default, Python, and it's returning me the details about it in a JSON format. So without this parser, let's say how the response of LLM is looking like. So here is your content, and content is here is a JSON object that provides details about Python programming language. So it's returning a JSON along with this extra string, which is like, here is a JSON object that provides details, blah 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 and all. And then there is a triple quote JSON, and this is your JSON being written by the LLM. So JSON output parser is doing, it's taking this string, it's extracting out this JSON from this string and returning you that as the output. So my assumption is, by default, the JSON output parser is looking for this particular format, JSON, and start of a curly brace, and it looks for the output until this curly brace ends. So it should be ending somewhere at the end, right? Let's go. Okay, we have come to metadata. I'm not sure where the content is ending. I'm not sure where it is ending. Maybe you can just copy paste it and check it in some file. Then you will see how this is returning the whole JSON object, and parser is extracting that JSON object for you and returning the JSON only. Let's add it again and run it. So let's wait for a minute. Yeah, if you can see, now there are no triple quotes or something like that. It's a proper JSON to you, and it's ending here with the popular ideas. Now let's see with a little bit more complex example. Here I have a huge prompt. You are a senior site reliability engineer. Analyze the following production incident and extract structured information that will be consumed by automated incident management system. Then we have incident text as our input, and we are saying return a JSON object with exactly this structure. We are providing a structure where severity takes low, medium, high as a value, affected service in a string, cause, and then suggesting actions in the string. Then we are adding do not add extra fields, do not wrap JSON in text, and then format instructions. As you can see, even with this complicated prompt and everything, the instructions are same for the parser. So here, no matter how big your prompt or how complex output you are expecting, JSON output parser just expects a JSON. Even if it is empty JSON, it will work. So if you want a structure to be followed by LLM, you have to pass those instructions yourself, like I have done it here. And I am adding extra instructions along with this return a JSON object that do not add extra fields, do not write JSON in text and everything, and the structure it should follow while returning the output, which is the severity, affected service, and everything. So if you will see, if LLM has followed my instructions clearly, then it is returning with the severity, affected service, probable cause, and suggested actions. So let me change things here. Let me just do something like this and run it again. So I didn't suggested actions, right? Let me check. As you can see now, LLM is returning a suggested AC, not the full thing, right? So even if the things change in the LLM output, if any field is missing or it's changing the key or value, until unless it's returning a valid JSON, this parser will work. It will not fail for you. So this parser is less strict than pedantic output parser because it does not do any type check. Now, if you want to add some detailed instructions in JSON output parser, you can do it something like this. So here again I'm importing base model and fields from pedantic. I'm creating a class incident like we have done with pedantic output parser incident, and I'm passing that as a pedantic object in the incident. Now I'm doing same things. I'm adding format instructions and I'm adding a similar prompt with the set reliability engineer that we have done here, and we have incident text here, and instead of passing these instructions myself, I am now relying on JSON output parser to pass those instructions in the prompt, because we are now telling JSON output parser that the JSON that should be returned should be in this particular format. Now let's see what it's being written by what is being added by JSON output parser. So it's kind of similar, right, that we have seen with pedantic output parser. The output should be a formatted JSON instance conference to JSON schema below. Then this is foo bar example, then our schema with severity and then service and then cause and so on. So it's kind of similar that we have seen with pedantic objects, right? Like the same thing. Because we are passing a pedantic object inside a JSON output parser, it's following the same schema followed by pedantic output parser. But it is still less strict from pedantic output parser because all it does is add some extra instructions to your prompt. It again does not do any type checking. So in case LLM returns something else in severity instead of low, medium or high, JSON output parser will pass it. So because you can see the output that is returned by JSON output parser is a dictionary, not this incident object. But in case of pedantic output parser, as you have seen in previous video, the type of object is the class type. So if I go to the top here, right, we were passing a product here, right? The type that is being returned by pedantic output parser is product type. So it's validating everything, the type of the variable, the value of the variable, and everything. But JSON output parser is returning a Python dictionary. So until unless the format of this dictionary is correct, until unless JSON can be converted into a Python dictionary, this will work. It will not look for any typecasting, it will not look for values, it will not validate anything. It will just validate your JSON. You can just, but if you want to add some extra instructions about your format, the way you want your output, you can do it like this, but you cannot rely on it for validating that as well. I hope this is clear. The difference between pedantic and JSON output parser is clear, and I hope by the time now you realize why they are better than regular expression parser. So if you have seen my first parsing video, you know the regular expression parser does not do anything. It just expects the output in a particular format, in the regular expression format. So any small change in that can break it, right? But that will be cached up in pedantic output parser. So if the LLM returns anything, misses anything, or adds an extra field, this will fail while typecasting to this particular class, right? Same with JSON output parser. If the JSON is wrong, then it will fail. It will not do any typecast validation or something like that. But if the JSON is wrong, like a comma missing or comma is missing or something like that, it will fail. But that will also pass with regular expression parser. So nowadays people are not using that one much more. They are more relying on JSON output parser for simple JSON and pedantic parser for more complex structures. Then there is another parser called structured output parser. It does a schema-based parsing, and there is no pedantic dependency, and it's less strict, kind of a similar like JSON output parser. So it does not do any strict type checking and just a schema-based parsing dependency. Now it does not provide any type validation, nested schema validation or strict typing, and it's an older structural parsing approach in LangChain used to extract structured fields from LLM responses without using pedantic models. So nowadays, I don't think many people are using structured output parser because this is an older approach without before pedantic output parser. Here you define a schema like this using a response schema from this LangChain output parser class, where you define the name of your field and the description, and there could be other options as well. Once you define your schema like this, you initialize structured output parser and pass it as an input to it from response schema. So what it does, it creates a schema using this as a particular input and adds particular instructions to your prompt in the same way as we have seen above in format instructions. So if I print those two lines here as well and run it again, so you can see it's a bit better than JSON output parser, right? The instructions are a bit better. The output should be a markdown code snippet in the following ideas and everything. Then JSON and title, summary, block title, short summary, the descriptions that we are passing here, they are being passed to the LLM. But nowadays, instead of this, people are using JSON output parser or pedantic output parser. Pedantic output parser is much better because it also type checks the types and validations on the values, and it can handle more complex classes easily. Here, if you want to create more complex schemas, it will be a bit difficult for you, bit more less manageable for you, right? In case of complex structures. And if your schema is very simple, you can use JSON output parser because both of them do not provide any validations on types and input on the output. This is check the schema is correct or not. So schema you can define here as well, right? In the JSON like this particular example where you can pass the pedantic object as input in JSON output parser. So nowadays people are not using it, but this is also one of the parser supported in the LangChain where you can define your schema using response schema and then you can use it in your chain. Now this is a little bit more complex example where we have categories which accepts unique values, predefined values for category, priority and summary, and it does similar things. Like if you will see the instructions written here as well, if I print them and run this block again, so you can see similar instructions are getting added here as well, with category as a string, priority string, summary string, and the values or description are written by us. So this is all in this video. I hope you understood everything about these two types of parser and why they are better than regex parser and not better than pedantic parser, and we will see you in the next video. So all the parsers that you have seen till now, they all fail if the schema is wrong. For example, if this particular schema is wrong, instead of priority it didn't came, or in JSON is wrong, they fail, right? They do not try to fix it. They will just throw you an error. In the next video and the further videos, we will see parsers which will help you with that. So in case your parsing fails, in case of JSON output parser or pedantic parsers or schema structural parser, it will allow you to retry or fix the output again and then return you the output. So the difference, let's cover that in the next video only, and till that time, see you, and please like, share and subscribe.